And good afternoon, everybody. This is attorney Carrie Meldon with Meldon Law and Friends. I'm happy to be stepping in for Jeffrey this afternoon, and we've got some really fun guests on today's show. So we're going to have a great time. We're broadcasting from the Coaches Podcast room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. As always, this is an incredible place. If you've not been to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, I would highly suggest you come on down and check it out. It's a museum and a wonderful farm-to-table restaurant rolled into one. You can also check us out on our Facebook and our YouTube Meldon Law websites. So all of these podcasts, although they are live, you can always catch them on replay. And we're on our 81st edition today. Evan, our producer, was telling me that we're on 81. So we have not missed a week since COVID started, and it's been quite a roll. So I'm happy to have the opportunity to host today. You can also listen to our podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Overcast, or any of the 39 platforms where you can find this podcast on your favorite podcasts. I don't know why it was written like that, but the grammar is what it is, so I'm just reading what's on the paper. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and we are taking questions and comments on Facebook Live. Simply let us know in the comment section below. So I've read the script, and we're about to go into our show. Before I do that, I do want to let the listeners out there know that we do have giveaways on our Meldon Law Facebook page. We would suggest you go to our Facebook page if you are looking to get softball tickets to the SEC tournament, May 10th to 14th. So it's coming up real soon. And apparently it's going to be here in Gainesville. So that's really cool. And we're giving away tickets on our Facebook page at Meldon Law. And we're also giving tickets away to the FSU game, the men's baseball FSU game on May 17th. That promotion's on May 10th, along with the SEC tournament. So I know Brandon, who we'll be talking about in a little bit, is a big Gator fan, and we're playing FSU. Should be a big game. That's also a Meldon Law game. So we're giving away a free pitch. So someone's going to do the first pitch on that. So the 10th is is when you have to apply by. So do it quickly. Brandon, don't forget. Do you want to do the first? You want to throw out the first pitch?
As soon as we get done here.
All right, there you go. So just go to the Meldon Law Facebook page, and then our last promotion on the Meldon Law Facebook page is we're giving away a Yeti cooler, a big one, and that's also the promotion's on May 10th. So you can do it up to May 10th. There's the SEC softball, the baseball game versus FSU, and the Yeti cooler. All three of them are pretty good prizes. With the tickets, we also give away gift certificates to Harry's and or Spurrier's. So I don't know which ones these are for, but they're always really good restaurants. So that being said, I'm done with all of the script reading, and we can go right into our show. And I'm really happy to introduce Brandon Surber of Ocala today. Brandon, welcome to Meldon Law and Friends.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Brandon, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you're born in Ocala.
Yes, sir.
Have you lived there all your life?
I have. Yep, 1991, born and raised here.
Where did you go to high school?
Lake Worth High School.
Okay.
Actually. Yes, sir.
Awesome. And tell me, have you been? Were you into sports? Were you into what were you into when you were
Definitely. My dad, when my parents moved down here in 1990 from West Virginia, entire family's from West Virginia. He moved down here in 90, got a teaching and coaching job at Lake Worth High School. So he's been coaching 32 years. He's actually retiring this year. So big shout out to him.
What was he coaching?
He coached a little bit of football in the Dante Culpepper era. Was defensive backs coach, and he's been the head boys basketball coach from about 94 up until he just retired this past season.
Wow.
So he's definitely one of the older teachers and coaches in Marion County right now. So we're sad to lose someone of his era. But his time is he's paid his time, and he wants to live his life a little bit.
Ocala is a big basketball town too. I know that they have a lot of Gator men's boosters down there.
Definitely. Jim Haley's another one. His good friend that passed a few years ago. He was one of the icons, friends with Billy Donovan, and pretty much every coach that in existence. But huge basketball school, a lot of competition, a lot of different schools.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Did you play football or basketball growing
So I
up?
played basketball all 4 years, and baseball, a little bit of golf. Wasn't a very good golf guy, but I like to be active.
They
and
had a
stuff
lot
like
of good
that.
golf courses in Ocala too.
They did. Yeah, we had.
They still do.
Yeah. Ted Potter actually came through Lakewood High School. My dad was his golf coach, and he ended up winning the Greenbrier Classic that I was actually in attendance in West Virginia, his first Classic.
Wow.
And he got
And that's
on to the Masters.
That's a PGA tournament.
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
So we've been
incredible.
going up there since it opened, and it's a half mile from my grandparents' house. We'd walk there, and seen little Ted Potter from Ocala win the tour up there.
What a
And
small
now
world.
it opened him up. He won Pebble Beach, and that one tournament led to all the other ones. So it's been a
That's
been a ride.
incredible.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, the Greenbrier has a lot of history. A lot of U.S. presidents
Yep.
have stayed and played there. And
My dad's sorry to cut you off.
No,
My
no, I
dad's-
wanna hear
My
about- yeah.
dad's dad, my grandfather, was a bartender at Greenbrier for 50 some years. So we have a lot of pride in West Virginia in the Greenbrier.
yeah, well, the
so.
Greenbrier isn't it owned by the former governor Jim? Was it
Jim Justice.
Jim Justice.
Good friends
yeah.
with our family.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
He's
Girls basketball coach
Yeah,
too.
he's
high school.
he's a imposing guy. He's like 6 foot something, right?
He's
6'5",
crazy,
6'6",
but he's
a big
brought
guy. Yeah.
some crazy talent and different public figures there. I tell you that it's
Yeah.
been crazy for
Did,
the little
didn't
town.
he got a casino in the
It's
in
an
the resort
underground
now?
casino, and
Wow.
it's an old bunker from back in the day of the military. Is where they would hide if something were
Is
to
that
happen.
what-
But now it's obviously open to the public, and
So cool.
But he's turned things around up there, so it's yeah, we know we've been around the Greenbrier our whole life. So
Well,
it's,
that's I've never been there, but it's on my bucket list.
phenomenal.
I hear the courses are incredible, the resort's
Yeah.
beautiful, and everything's
my
first
dad
class.
caddied there when he was a little kid too.
Yeah,
so.
it's one of the oldest and most distinguished courses in the United States.
Yep.
And so I remember they had was it the flood? There was something that happened in West Virginia.
Yep, in my grandparents' backyard, and actually the New Orleans Saints were up there helping out and things like that. So we got pictures of my aunt taking photos in the backyard. You see all the Saints players helping out and things like that. It's been crazy. Like,
Yeah. I
just
remember that.
little, Yep.
because New Orleans had their flooding issues too.
Yep.
And it was a big deal. It was
It was.
national news.
It was,
Yeah.
and because they have creeks right in the backyards of right there in Greenbrier County. They just flooded. You can see the practice football field, and the water was up to the goalpost. It was crazy.
That is crazy. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you do now. So, as you can see from Brandon Surber here, he's got the Surber Signs and Graphics.
Yeah.
So let's what is Surber Signs and Graphics?
So just a small little mom and pops, little family-owned print business. We do everything from custom apparel, T-shirts, embroidery, and we get into the large signs, wide format printing. Pretty much do anything that you can put ink on and vinyl.
Yeah.
We do a lot of custom apparel, T-shirts, jerseys.
Do you do them only in bulk, or do you do special
No,
requests?
we do pretty much any order. We kind of shied away from the single shirt orders just because we've been so slam busy, and we've been tapping into that sports market, what my long-term goal is.
Right.
Is to fulfill athletic teams and youth groups and youth teams in the high schools, even in Marion County and surrounding areas. So, and those typically are 100, 150 shirts or jerseys or more. So that's kind of what we're aiming towards. But we actually work with pretty much small business owners. It's probably, I'd say, 9 out of 10 of our customers are small businesses.
Well, the shirt looks comfortable. Do you have a bunch of different styles of shirts that you?
Yeah, I have so many options. My whole closet's just unbranded stuff.
Well,
It's
the
crazy.
shirts have gotten better in quality. I know our shirts used to be cotton, and they would always be wrinkled, and they would shrink, right? And
That's
it would,
like the last resort now.
And then
Yeah,
they would fade,
Oh
and
my
now they
goodness.
have all these blends that are more comfortable.
Polyesters
They
and
don't the
fish
polyesters.
materials. Yeah,
They
It's
don't
crazy.
they don't wrinkle. They don't shrink, and they keep their colors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to feel comfortable. So.
Well, let me ask you this: how did you get into the business? That seems like it's it's pretty cool that you got your own business. You have vision there. I mean, how did you even get into it?
So I took a graphic arts class in high school. Mr. Natalino is a phenomenal guy. He's been there for 30 some years as well. He was a big mentor in my life, and didn't take it. And he'll tell you today, I didn't take it as serious as most students. But around 2014, 15. I decided to just start off doing vinyl stickers again. I was teaching PE at Hammett Bowen at the time.
Okay.
In 16. So right around then, I decided to start doing it part-time. And honestly, it just grew. I started in my bedroom at the house on the floor with a little laptop, and now I'm in a 3,000 square foot building. So the past 2 years, I've been running this full time. I stopped teaching to do this. It just grew, and you just treat people right, do good work, and word of mouth is a magical thing.
So you do everything from designs to the actual pressing?
We do everything sitting down with a customer that wants to start a business or just started a business, and we'll do some consulting on a logo design, and then from there we'll take that logo and then print it out on their trailers or their trucks and apparel, hats, things like that. So we take their sketch or their idea on paper and we transition it into actual physical product. So it's a pretty cool
you have to use some I'm sure some pretty intricate software programs to get the logo.
It's a little learning curve, but thankfully the past 2 years of consistently using it, I know it like the back of my hand. So,
and Ocala's definitely growing, so you're having more and more potential customers.
It is.
So for the listeners out there that may not know, Brandon is a member of BNI, which one of our really great members of our Ocala office, Angel Torres, is also a member of BNI, and it's basically for hungry, entrepreneurial people that want to make a difference in the community and better themselves in terms of their business relationships. And so
definitely.
I've spoken to Angel about the company quite a bit, and she says that the people in there are sincere and they're genuinely trying to help each other, which is it's very cool. We miss that sometimes in society, that interpersonal connection and contact because of COVID. A lot of people now just sit at home and they don't get out and meet people face to face.
That's for sure. Yeah, we're actually doing Zoom meetings, and when we went back into person just under a year ago, it was so much better.
Yeah.
You take it serious and you get to meet face to face, and it's a great group.
There's been a lot of studies, and although remote work does work for some people, in my experience, the reason that we encourage our office members to go to the office is that you can only really trust someone if you know them, and you only get to know someone if you're around them.
I agree 100%.
And so that's kind of it's just about interpersonal connection and trust, and I think that you can figure out a better if that person is the right fit in the position that you need them to be in. And sometimes you have really good people that are just in the wrong position, and it's hard to determine that when you're not face to face, and things become. Sometimes people will take things, I think, personally when they shouldn't. When it's more just, look, we're going to get you into the right position so you can be successful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let me. We're going to go on a break in a little bit, but before we do so, tell me a little bit about what your goals are in the next few years with your company.
Definitely looking to grow it. The past 2 years doing things full time, it's been happening awfully faster than I thought. Especially with COVID, I was scared because when I signed the lease, it was when COVID was first coming to the United States. So it's actually been taking off. I have a full-time employee named Lane. He's a phenomenal kid. He's about 20 years old. He is just driven to work. So I'm blessed to have him.
Yeah.
But my goal here is to hire another full-time employee, another maybe two, take the workload off my shoulders just a little bit. I still want to be the face of the company, but I do want to try to, I got 5 girls actually, and I want to get home and spend a little bit more time on them. They're athletes and they're in softball. So I do want to continue to grow the business, but at the same time, be able to spend some quality family time with my kids. So that's the ultimate goal.
That's a big family. 5 girls, huh?
Yes, sir. Me and my fiance Skylar and I combined have 5 girls.
Wow.
So we're pretty busy. I got a softball team, so Tim Walton. I got some players.
There you go.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about Gator sports and when we come back. But before we go to a break, you let the listeners out there know how to contact you if they want to get some shirts made.
Definitely. We're Facebook driven. That's probably 90% of our business is Facebook. So if you look up Surber Signs and Graphics on Facebook or the website, that's a phenomenal or a great way to reach us. We're really active on Facebook. So,
well, great. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we come back, and we're going to go to break.
Sounds good.
Oh my gosh! I can't even believe this. Look what you have done to my truck!
Excuse me, it's your fault, it's not my fault.
Yes, it is your fault! I am calling Jeffrey Meldon from Meldon Law.
So I'm gonna call Jeffrey, my husband.
Meldon Law, this is Jeffrey speaking.
Jeffrey! This crazy lady here, this crazy lady, he might...
New client?
Yes, but this one might be a little tricky. Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
And we're back here at Meldon Law and Friends. This is host Carrie Meldon. On today's show, we've got a really special show today. We've got Brandon Surber from Surber Signs and Graphics in Ocala, Florida. We were just talking about his company, how it's been growing so quickly. And I was asking him during the break, well, how do I get some shirts made for my office? And he said he would do Gainesville and that he makes all the shirts handmade. So unlike a lot of these large companies that may have mass production where they're just using machines, if you get your shirts made from Brandon, then they are custom, and you can still make, and they're still affordable, right?
Oh yeah, I get told all the time, that's all you charge. So yeah, they're affordable.
And any type of material that the customer wants, you could pretty much figure out how to do it.
Yes, sir.
Do you do embroidery or just?
We have three single head embroidery machines, so we do stitching and all sorts.
Wow.
Yep.
So really custom made. So it's something that's we all like really good shirts. I'll tell you, the shirts that I used to use at Meldon Law, they were these cotton shirts that would fade and shrink and wrinkle. Yeah, it was probably that. Mm-hmm. And people would wear them one time, and then they would end up using them as oil rags for their cars when they were fixing their cars, and no one would ever use them again. But their shirts that they're making now with the polyester blends, I know there's one company that I am a part of up in Atlanta. It's a marketing company, and they give me shirts every time I'm up there to learn about marketing. And these shirts are the polyester ones that you have too. Yep. And basically, I wear them every night because they're comfortable. They always fit. And they don't shrink, and they're not wrinkled. So if I need to run downstairs or run outside and see someone, then I'm not gonna look like I'm a homeless person if I'm on the couch just laying around, right? So, anyways, you got to contact Brandon Surber. We'll give you his contact information before we break on the second segment, so you can contact him to fulfill your graphic and signs needs. Awesome. And not just T-shirts. You do stickers and other things as well.
Stickers, yard signs, banners, pretty much anything you need printed, any type of signage as well.
And you'll do anything from Lake City, Gainesville, Ocala, anything in North Central Florida.
We have customers in Daytona areas, Gainesville, Orlando. I got a real estate agent I drive up to Jacksonville to do work for.
There you go. Statewide then. Yep. It's like Meldon Law.
Exactly.
we're all over. We won't back down. Speaking of won't back down, Tom Petty's guitarist was actually in Gainesville on Friday and Saturday night, Mike Campbell, and he was playing with the original drummer for the Heartbreakers, Stan Litch.
That's awesome.
It was a great show. I went on Friday with my father, and he especially had a blast because he used to represent them back in the early 70s.
Really?
Yeah, so he represented Tom Petty and Mike
neat.
And Stan, and so it was kind of
that's amazing.
For him, it was really special, and it was a really good show.
That's awesome.
And also, we talked a little bit about your Gator fandom, that you are a fanatic.
Huge Gator fan.
All right, I love it. So tell me, how did you first get into following the Gators?
So I've always been a Gator fan, growing up in a athletic type family. But in college, I was going for journalism, even in sports, even in high school, I was going for sports journalism, and that's what I really wanted to do, but found out there's no money in it, so I did it for passion. But I came up with Gator Sports Nation, a Gator fan blog in my 9th grade year. Wow. And I was getting tons of traffic towards it. On the first page of Google, when you type in Florida Gators, built relationships with Trey
How did you build a
Burton.
website? Did you have programming skills? Or?
So it started off in middle school. I used to trade sports cards. So I made a message board for sports trading enthusiasts. And
online?
online.
But how do you make that? Like, how do you program that?
Well, back in the day, there was, I mean, there still is, there was softwares and things like that. You'd get hosting and just install it and then configure it from there. A lot of HTML. It got a lot easier to make these days, I should say. But started in about 7th grade, and then actually launched the Gator site my 9th grade year, which was my official business.
So there was paid subscriptions.
There was, yeah, not for the members. The content was free, but even I remember my dad thinking I was committing fraud because I'd get checks in the mail. I was pulling so many visitors a month that these ticket brokers, such as Vivid Seats and advertisers, would want to place advertisements on the website on the main page. So I was getting, I wasn't rich, but I was getting some money from, you know, my 9th grade year, not having money.
That's
and
awesome.
I had some checks coming in. My dad's like, "What are all these checks? Are they fraud?" And no, it's from you know, my Gator site. So
Wow.
it was pretty cool. Built some relationships with a bunch of Gator players and things like that. So I wish I didn't have sold it. So
Who'd you sell it to?
some random guy contacted me online, and he was like an investor, and he wanted to continue the site but pay other people to run it.
Right.
So he didn't have that passion like I did.
Yeah.
But
did it survive, or did it go?
It actually did not.
Yeah.
About a year later or so, and I had some very, very exclusive content on there with people like Trey Burton and Matt Elam, a bunch of Gator stars that
Wow.
I recently tried to see if I can pull up. I found a couple old Q&As and things like that, but definitely wish I had it today.
Yeah, well, those were the Urban Meyer days. That was
Yep.
like when we had, you know, the best recruiting classes and Tim Tebow and
One of
Harvin
the
and
best
all
classes in college football we'll ever see again.
ever,
honestly.
right? And then of course that blew up. But you know, I will tell you, to this day, the message boards are still really popular.
They are.
You know, but I
definitely.
think you bring up a good point. If you don't have passion as to what you do, it's going to fall apart. Anything,
Yeah.
any business. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, being a journalist too these days, and I still have journalist friends, and you can't do it. You can do it for a living, depends on what company you work for, but definitely have to have a true passion and another job on the side. But I had some good staff. I had a couple free writers that were helping back in the day. One of them, Andrew Spivey, is actually working for Rivals right now. He's one of their main recruiters for Gator Country, I'm sorry.
Wow.
And another kid named Kyle, he was real young at the time, and we're 18, 19 years old, and he actually writes for the Atlanta Braves.
That's
So it's
crazy.
pretty crazy. And it's that blog
You
in
know,
ninth grade.
that's the way life is if you're hungry and you do something, sometimes the breaks will fall your way.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So let me ask you this: what do you think about the coach Napier coming in? Do you think he's going to be a good fit?
He's fun.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Yes.
I'm excited.
What do you think is going to be good about his hire? What do you think? What do you like about his hire? I should say.
For one, I'd say discipline. He seems like he's really got his ducks in a row, especially at previous school he was at, and his staff he's bringing over. They just seem like the real deal. And he's just hype. He's young. He's enthusiastic, and he just brings that fire from what I've seen.
Do you think that he's got the chops, the offensive chops, to be able to hang in this conference? Because I know he's going to be offensive coordinator and
Yeah.
QB coach, right? So
Yeah,
a lot of responsibility.
Definitely. I think time will tell on that.
Because Mullen had the genius offensive scheme.
He did.
He just didn't have the hunger to recruit.
And that's the issue. And I think the difference between Mullen and Napier is that he likes to recruit. You know, Napier's out there. He's hungry. Look what he's doing right now for these guys that are coming in. You know, with I follow all their recruiting on Twitter and all the cool stuff they have for these recruits coming in to do. And they tweeting out players on their birthdays, going that extra mile. So I'm thinking he's going to do a good job. We have to wait to see. We play Utah kicking off the season, so that'll be interesting.
That's going to be a tough game.
Fans definitely have to be patient with them.
Did you watch that Utah game, the Rose Bowl game? Who did they play? They played
They look
Ohio
really
State.
sharp, though.
Yeah,
Utah looks sharp.
They had Ohio State down like 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then that wide receiver just went off for Ohio State and ended up catching
game.
4 or 5 touchdowns. But
Definitely
and then
not.
they have like 2 wide receivers. 2 of those wide receivers got drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
So I mean, Utah was killing them, and then they ended up having basically a miracle comeback. Ohio State did.
that.
But I don't know. I'm very happy that Napier's in, because I do agree, he does seem to have discipline. He seems to have a plan. He seems to give the kids what they need in this day and age, which is common sense. I mean, parking and
Exactly.
and housing. Like, come on, it takes literally 30 seconds at the University of Florida to figure that
And
out.
the NIL too is making a big difference too. So we're part of the Gator Collective and things like that. We did an interview because we still have, I actually have a Facebook group now called the Gator Gang. It's 10,000
nice.
members on Facebook. So we're kind of reliving that old Gator Sports Nation into today's generation. They like the old hip name, things like that. But yeah, he's gonna have more discipline, but with that NIL, it's going to really help these kids out as far as getting them some extra spending money and things.
Yeah,
like
there
that
was a
too.
new ruling that came down, or advisement yesterday by the NCAA saying that if a booster business or collective was involved in enticing high school kids to sign as a result of the of coming to that school, that they can be possibly in violation. There's not very clear yet, but my thoughts are that the NIL was, in my mind, was originally created for things like EA Sports. Remember the football game? How was it, college? Whatever it was. Yeah,
I
the
missed
EA
that.
Sports, the college. Now remember they used to have the numbers of the players on the back, and then some kid from UCLA said, "Well, that's mine. That's me. I'm going to sue you," and they ended up getting rid of the game completely.
Yeah.
But that to me was a appropriate use of the name, image, and likeness, right? Because they're using your actual likeness and your name and your image on this video game, and you're making a lot of money at EA Sports. So the kids should have been compensated for that.
Definitely.
But what's happening now seems to be kind of a perversion of what the intent was, right? It's like the question I would always ask is, would these businesses pay these kids purely for the capitalistic business standpoint? Is it driving more business to them? If it is, then it's the right reason, right? If it's not, then it's just an inducement to come to the school.
Having like Anthony Richardson, for example, throw a T-shirt on his Instagram or a product, maybe something like that. But you have some players that are getting keys to cars and things like that.
Right,
so.
like Outback having Anthony Richardson there. Outback doesn't need Anthony Richardson. I don't think the board there cares about Anthony Richardson, but they're a Florida-based restaurant, so they gave a menu item to Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. That I think is where it was intended, where Outback felt like they could benefit financially from it. It wasn't a gift; it was a business decision. So I think that's where we need to get back to: is it can't be inducement to sign or to play. It has to be a true business decision.
And it'll work its kinks out.
I think it will too. So we've got a couple minutes left. Before we go on break, I want to say once again, Brandon, fascinating. I got to join your Facebook page, Gator Gang. So people out there, the Gator Gang.
We have some former Gators on there too, and things like that. So,
love it.
Yep.
The Gator Gang.
The Gator Gang.
Okay, on Facebook. Also, you can reach him, his business on Facebook as well. Is it just under Surber's Signs?
Surber Signs and Graphics.
Okay.
Yes, sir, yep.
And so when you go on there, do you have to? What do you do? Just click on the business and
just click it and hit like.
Okay. And then in terms of getting an order in, do you call or do they should they place the order online?
Pretty much just send us a message. We're pretty active on our Facebook page. We do get a lot of messages. But if you can either call us, all of our contact information is listed there on the Facebook page as well.
Easy.
But yeah, send an email. Just probably the quickest and most responsive is Facebook Messenger though on our business page.
So do you have like turnaround times, or is everything just based on the order?
Right now, average turnaround time, I've been telling our customers about 2 weeks. We've just been slammed, which is a good thing. And
that's a great thing.
I'd rather under-promise than over-promise. So we're 2-week turnaround time on things mostly right now. So
make sure if you need something, you contact Brandon right away so he can get it done to you, and that way you can have everything you need. And one of the things I will let you know is that if you are in Ocala, Gainesville, Lake City, Jacksonville, Orlando, anywhere in the state, you can order from Surber Signs and Graphics. They will get you what you need.
Awesome.
Okay?
Yes,
all right. So we're going into our second segment. Brandon, I want to thank you once again for being a guest.
That was fun. Thank you.
Check out the museum here at Spurrier's. They have
definitely.
some cool stuff here. And I hope we'll contact you soon. Hopefully we'll get some Meldon Law Surber shirts.
Sounds awesome.
All right? All right. Have a good one.
You too.
I've done mornings here on Sky Radio for 17 years. Jeffrey Meldon started doing his weekend show here 16 years ago. One of the things that separates Jeffrey is I don't see him out there hollering for people's business. I see him out there investing in the community. He's touched a lot of lives, and a lot of it he'll never know what a difference he made in somebody's life about information that he has shared on the air.
gosh! I can't even believe this. Look what you have done to my truck!
Excuse me, it's your fault, it's not my fault.
Yes, it is your
No,
fault.
it's not, no,
I
it's
am
not.
calling Jeffrey Meldon from Meldon Law.
So I'm gonna call Jeffrey, my husband.
Meldon Law, this is Jeffrey speaking.
This crazy lady
wait,
here,
honey.
this crazy lady here might...
New client?
Yes, but this one might be a little tricky.
Well, I was in a truck accident. Because of the accident, I've resulted in 3 back surgeries. We saw advertisements on TV, and guess who popped up more often than not? It was Jeffrey. The communication that he provided was so appreciative that he shows his compassion as a human. He assisted us in achieving one of our dreams, the acquisition of a home, and we're here today with smiles on our face with the assistance from Jeffrey.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 280 discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
And we are back here at Meldon Law and Friends. This is attorney Carrie Meldon. We're really excited to have our second guest today, Drew and Leah Steurman. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay. Incredible company. Very, very popular. You're going to be wanting to listen to what's going on with Halo Donuts, and we're going to talk about them in a few minutes. Before we do so, I do have a few giveaways. I'm going on my phone because it was texted to me by my assistant, and you can't miss these giveaways. So we have 3 promotions, and the promotions expire on May 10th. So you got to go ahead and get it done. Today is May 10th, so today's the day. This is the last 3 promotions that we're going to have, at least for the regular season of the sporting events. So it's really important that you get them, and these are actually really, all 3 of them are pretty special. So the first giveaway that we're doing on our Meldon Law Facebook page, as always, is the softball SEC tournament. It's the 10th through the 14th, so it's actually a 5-day giveaway. And they're going to have all the teams in the SEC tournament there hosting here in Gainesville, and we're giving away tickets as well as gift certificates to Harry's, and sometimes we do Spurrier's too. So I don't know if it's Harry's or Spurrier's, but either one of them are both good. If you've been to both, Spurrier's is incredible, Harry's is good as well. The second giveaway is on May 17th, and it's the baseball game versus FSU. And we're giving away the right to throw out the first pitch.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, at the FSU game. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you got to enter into that, the Meldon Law Facebook page. My good friend Bill actually won it the first time earlier this year. I've never even thrown out the first pitch. So it's pretty cool. It's something you can tell your kids and, hang on your wall, and you go out there, you throw the pitch, and the catcher comes out, gives you the ball, and you run off. So that's always really fun, and we're going to have our office there too. So we love to have someone that we know win the contest, but anyone is eligible, and it's free. You just go on our Meldon Law Facebook page. And the last giveaway is a Yeti 45 quart cooler that we're giving away on our Meldon Law Facebook page. We've already given away one of those. That's probably the most popular thing.
Yeah,
I mean, The pitch is cool, but people want the Yeti. So you can all of these. There's no strings attached. You just enter into it. All the instructions on how to enter are on our Facebook page. So I did my duty. The promos have been produced to the public, and please follow up on them. But let's get into some more interesting stuff, which is the story of Drew and Leah and Halo Donuts. So before we go forward, please explain to the audience what Halo Donuts is.
Yeah, so Halo Potato Donuts started here in Gainesville about 4 years ago. We are a made-from-scratch donut company and coffee company as well. You can find us in a couple different locations across town. We have a brick and mortar on Main Street, 2 mobile food trucks, and then we also are opening another location on Tower Road. So we believe in fresh donuts, great customer service, and great coffee.
So you said potato donuts. So is it an actual potato that was in a donut?
Yeah, people just think it's a potato with icing on it, apparently.
Yes.
Carved out. Carved
Yeah,
out.
I mean, tell me, what is a potato donut?
Yeah, so a potato donut is, I like to tell people it's similar to a normal donut that you would get. However, it's kind of an in-between a light and fluffy donut and a dense donut. So the potatoes add a lot of texture, add a lot of moisture, flavor, and then we use, of course, the highest quality ingredients. So that adds to the premium of it as well. So it's definitely a donut that you can't find anywhere else, that's for sure.
Yeah, how did you even come up with the potato donut? Like, how does that even cross your mind?
Yeah, so back in fall of 2017 is when the idea for starting a donut company came about. And after about 6 months of trial and error and realizing, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, I Googled top 10 donut shops in America. And for that year, there happened to be the #1 donut shop in the entire country was a potato donut company up in Portland, Maine.
Okay.
Never tried potato donuts, never heard of potato donuts until that moment. Then I went down, the rabbit hole of YouTube videos and recipe books and everything, and decided I think this is what I want to do.
Did you try a potato donut before?
No, it was so a lot of other
You're
people.
like, I'm going to do it, even though I've never had one before.
It's like, I think that was kind of the best way to do it. Was like, I had no idea. The only idea I had is what I was coming up with in my head.
Right.
Was like, this is what I think a potato donut should be.
Right.
And I read a bunch of articles and stuff about the Holy Donut up in Portland, Maine, and heard, the texture's different, the moisture's different, all this stuff, and I'm like, let's take those things and put it into our recipe. And then fast forward about 9 months later, I actually ended up making my way up to Portland, meeting the founder.
Wow.
That's a whole 50-minute story right there about how we came in contact. Went up there, tried our donuts, and they're definitely very similar, but definitely some differences as well. So we don't step on their toes, they don't step on ours, and
well, Maine and Florida are
we're
not that close.
we might be competing soon with them, so we'll see.
But Drew came up with the recipe, the concept, everything. I kind of just filled in. I kind of helped, and then I was in the healthcare industry for 4 years, and I finally quit and became Halo full-time probably about a year ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So I wasn't even I kind of helped him here and there when I could, but Drew was the one that came up with everything.
How did you get the name Halo?
Yeah, so it was actually, I was attending UF, a business school, business creativity on campus, and I was, they put us in groups, and I was partnered with this one girl, and I told her every single day, I told her about this idea of opening this potato donut company. So she was like, in the class project, it was come up with a name for this concept. So I knew I wanted to have potato in it because that stood out. I knew I wanted it to rhyme. And so we ended up one day, she texted me and she's like, what about Halo Potato?
Right.
And I'm like, Halo, the shape of the
Yeah,
donut,
looks
potato.
perfect.
It is like meant to be. And of course I thought that somebody's taken this already. Somebody's already got the Instagram for this. Searched everything. Nope. Got the domain for $1. Secured all of it. Yeah. So it was, I think it was, a lot of luck and everything, but I think it was really just meant to be.
So for the listeners out there, what is the domain name?
HaloPotatoDonuts.com.
So HaloPotatoDonuts.com. I want to go into, you guys have some really big plans coming up, but let's go into the origin story first before we get, in the second part, we'll talk a little bit more about what the future holds. I've always seen the building on Main Street, and it's a really interesting building because it's right near 16th and near Depot Road, and it's kind of a new. There's a new construction going on. They have the Cade Museum and everything else. How did you guys find that spot as your place?
Well, to get to that was kind of like a story itself. We were gonna go with probably 5 different other locations, but we had kind of found this last minute, and we quickly toured it, like not thinking anything of it because we had been so let down by the previous places we looked at. And we looked at it, and I think we all felt something at that time that this was the right thing, and it just fit what we wanted, and it could become what we wanted it to become. So it was kind of like, honestly, fate that it happened.
It was affordable. So
It was
that was the
affordable.
number one thing, was like, let's get in here. We're just operating out of a food truck right now. Let's not jump into a $10,000 month.
And
lease.
at that time, majority of our customers were students, so we wanted to be as close to them as possible.
Right. Well, I see lines outside your. Every time I drive by, I see a line outside Halo Donuts. That and Luke's Bagels. So we've had Luke on the program too. Those are you guys are like killing it on that Main Street
revival.
Yes. You guys. No, it really has. And Depot Park has some really cool stuff in there too.
Oh yeah.
If you're in Gainesville and you live on the west side of Gainesville, where we are now, and you haven't been to Main Street and Depot Road and check out Luke's and of course Halo's, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's actually really, really incredible food that's made with love. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. And it's made, and they're incredible ingredients, like top of the line. So I think that's and you guys started in a food truck. How did you even find a food truck? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah, so it's funny, when I originally wrote the business plan. So I was in business school. Everyone hammered at home that you got to write a business plan for this thing. So I ended up taking courses while I was at UF to learn how to write a business plan. I entered the Big Idea competition at UF, which is comprised of about 200 different concepts. Went through that whole process, got to the final stage of judges. And I remember the judges all looked at me and they're like, don't get into a brick and mortar, get into a food truck. And so it was right at that moment I completely pivoted, started looking for food trucks, started looking for funding. It was actually a family friend of ours that ended up helping secure that funding, and we opened up about 6 months later. So September 8th of 2018 was the first donut ever sold out of that food truck.
And so first of all, food trucks are amazing because they're traveling advertisements.
Absolutely.
So that's that. I understand. As lawyers on buses, we all know you gotta have a traveling advertisement. But more importantly, is how do you find a place to sell in Gainesville out of food trucks? I've had clients come to me before that have asked me to get permitting, and it's always, at least downtown, it's always been not easy to find places to have food trucks exist.
They're pretty strict in Main Street, like downtown itself. But once you get right outside of Main Street, that's where it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, we knew we had to approach either a private business owner, someone that had a big lot. And so if you know where the parking is right now for Luke's, at Make Work right there at that roundabout, that's actually right where we set up originally.
Oh, great.
So it was a weird thing. It was like, a friend meets a friend meets a friend, and later on you learn
connections.
You just meet this guy that has this property, and he's like, hey, love the concept that you're doing and everything. You guys want to set up here for a cheap rate. So we ended up every single day made donuts, pulled up, and once we got like a good system going and everything, we would show up and there'd be lines of about 100 people just lining up for nothing. So if you were driving down the road,
it's true. Yeah.
If you were driving down the road,
you want to know what's going on.
We were just like, we still don't understand to this day how it can get so crazy on days.
It really is. I mean, it's almost like, if you think about the amount of people that wait, and especially the students, they sit out there and they'll wait. Not that you guys, I'm sure you guys turn over quickly. I don't want to discourage you from going to the. It's a lot of volume. But it's a lot of volume, and these people. Especially the kids, are completely dedicated to getting themselves a Halo donut.
Yeah, it's like a trend almost.
It is a trend.
Yeah.
So did you make the donuts originally in the food truck, or did you make them somewhere else?
Yeah, originally in the food truck. For about the first couple months, we made every single thing in that food truck, and then we realized this is way too small. This is way too cluttered. We have to get a shared kitchen. So we actually ended up renting a shared kitchen in town, Working Food over by Cypress and Grove. They're a little rental kitchen. And we rented from them. So we kind of did like 50% on the truck, 50% in the kitchen.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, when we were done, we packed up, the food truck. We'd come back to that kitchen, wash the dishes, and then head home.
Right.
So
And then wake up in 3 hours and do it all
do
over
it all
again.
over again. Repeat the process.
So you guys kind of went the way of Breaking Bad, where
Yeah.
they first started cooking meth in the in the RV,
Yeah.
and then they switched to a lab.
Yes.
Not that you guys, not that
Yes.
it's apples or donuts to donuts, but
we probably would have saved ourselves about a year of stress had we just originally gone.
And a lot
But
of
you
date
had to,
nights.
but you had to try it, right?
Yes.
Because as what you guys are doing it's novel, meaning that there's not many people doing it, and this is obviously a family business that you guys are working on. So most of what from my experience, most of what you learn, you have to learn by doing. You can't just be told.
Absolutely. I think there's only about 10 potato donut companies that exist in the country.
That's crazy.
So no one really has the playbook for it.
Right.
And no one's really willing to give you the playbook for it. So you couldn't just Google how to start a potato donut company because it's completely
You have to
different
learn
from
by
regular.
experience.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we're not very scared of any competition entering the market because it's going to take years
Take
to
Well,
figure out how to
And
do
respect to them if they do it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the market, we'll talk a little bit about your how you guys are growing when we come back. We've got about 30 seconds. So before we go out, once again, can you let people know your address of where you guys are located and how to get in contact with you?
So we have 3 locations. We have one on Main Street, 1323 South Main Street. And then we have the Tower Road drive-through, which is located in the Home Depot parking lot of Tower Road. And then I don't know the MLD address off the top of my head.
5505 Southwest Archer Road. So I say between I-75 and Tower Road. You can find us there Wednesday through Sunday.
There you go. So we'll be back in about 1 minute.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
And we're back here at Meldon Law and Friends. This is attorney Carrie Meldon. We're here with Drew and Leah Steurman. Thank you once again for coming into our show.
Absolutely.
Owner of Halo Donuts, the only potato donuts that you'll find in Florida. So if you need a potato donut, if you have a hankering for a potato donut, which is a unique yet really flavorful and popular donut, you got to go check them out. Brandon, Drew, let's talk a little bit about where you're expanding. As we went to break, we were talking a little bit about some of the plans of Halo Donuts. So you have right now, how many food trucks?
We have 2 food trucks.
2 food trucks, and the 2 food trucks are located.
One is on Tower Road, right where our new location is being built, and then we put another one on Archer Road.
And then the once again, the brick and mortar is
on Main Street.
And what's the address?
1323 South Main Street.
1323. And where's the new brick and mortar going to be?
So the new brick and mortar is going to be on Tower Road. So just before you get to Newberry, if you know where the Home Depot shopping plaza is and you see brand new construction right on Tower Road, we're going to be there with 2 other tenants, about a spot that's going to be triple the size of our current one.
Wow. Yeah. So when's that set to open?
We're hoping, I mean, it's been a long journey with this one, but we're hoping middle to late June is going to be a grand opening.
Okay, so coming up,
Yeah.
like about a month or so. That's going to be
Hopefully.
incredible. So the people out in the west side can enjoy an actual brick and mortar. Is it going to have seating to eat in, or is it going to be?
It's going to be not completely different, but pretty different from our Main Street concept, to where you're going to be able to sit indoors and outdoors. We're actually going to offer beer and wine.
Oh, cool.
So we'll have like the Moscato mimosa option for people. So it's going to be a lot different from what Main Street is right now, but I think it's going to cater more to that side of town for sure.
Are you still going to make all the potato donuts from one location, or are you going to make them
Yes.
from multiple locations?
Yeah, so we're going to produce, all of our production is going to move to Tower Road just because it's state-of-the-art facility.
Yeah.
So everything will get produced there, and then we'll farm it out. So, donuts will go to Main Street, donuts will go to the food trucks, donuts for wholesale delivery. So everything, Main Street, it's going to become a storage facility, but also a place to sell from as well.
How cool is it to be able to build out a brand new place the way that exactly how you need it?
Yeah, we got really lucky with that.
And our goal with this was for it to be the mold of future Halos as well. So there's not a lot of pressure, but kind of a lot of pressure to make sure that this comes out exactly how we want it to look for future locations when that does happen.
Have you guys had a tour of the kitchen here yet?
No.
Okay, so Freddie Weeby, who is an owner of Spurrier's, as well as, of course, Spurrier and some other people, and who also is helps produce our podcast, has given us in our office the tour of these kitchens, and everything was designed specifically for the type of cuisine they were going to sell. Wow. So for example, everything is farm to table, the fish and the meat. So apparently, and this is when they first started, so I think it's still this way, there is only one freezer in the entire restaurant.
Wow.
And this is a huge restaurant. I mean, it's got upstairs and downstairs, and it just contains ice cream. So all of the meats, all of the fish is refrigerated. Nothing is frozen.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and
coming from the donut world, where we have a couple cold ingredients and stuff, that's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But the fact is that it was designed specifically for the type of cuisine that they were going to provide.
Yeah.
Just like you guys are doing right now. It sounds like what you're trying to make is essentially the prototype for potential expansion.
And I think one of the coolest things about our new location is the only separation between the customer and our kitchen is a 3.5-foot countertop. That's it.
So you can see the donuts.
When you
Open concept.
you walk in, there's about this wide of a gap between you and the kitchen. You get to hear the sound, the smells.
Are there conveyor belts like Krispy Kreme? Or
no, we do it. Like I said, the way we make our donuts is about the hardest way you can possibly do it. It requires a ton of labor. Everything's hand decorated. Everything's hand fried. We've added a conveyor cutter system, but still humans are involved. So this is on any given day there, you can expect to see probably about 20 people in the kitchen behind the counter.
And like
Are you kidding
Spurrier's,
me? That's crazy.
And like Spurrier's, we don't skip on ingredients. That's why our donuts cost a little bit more, because we want to make sure that it's the best that we can get, fresh, handmade, that local feel. So we don't want to skip.
And you're not going to feel like crap after you eat them.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. So it's like don't skimp on your ingredients. So let's talk a little bit about your expansion. At the break, you were talking about potentially different areas where Halo Donuts may be popping up. For our listeners that may not be from Gainesville, what are you thinking in terms of your next venture?
So we travel all over the state. We don't have anything signed, on paper, but our goal is the Tampa area next. We really, really are intrigued by the Wesley Chapel area and the growth that it's seeing right now.
Right.
With just residents, that's really, really popular. And then we also have plans in the next 9 to 12 months of eventually franchising this thing. That is our long shot. We've already been approached by about 20 to 25 different potential franchisees that have given contact information about, and they're all over the country, not just in the state of Florida.
That's crazy.
So we've got a lot ahead of us, a lot of work to get done in order to get to that point.
How does that work when you franchise? I mean, you basically have to select people that you think are going to be able to carry out the concepts that you intended and that you guys have cultured over the last 4 years,
and hope
right?
that they make it better, or
Yeah,
you'll be traveling a lot. Is what you're saying.
Right now we're creating we're creating the blueprint for this model. So eventually it's it just churns and it just works itself.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being in the kitchen or being on site, eventually it's going to be us just popping into cities, making sure that things are going according to plan.
Sure. Did you ever see the movie with Michael Keaton on about Ray Kroc, who
The founder.
The founder. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. Like, you know, although I guess he wasn't the creator. He took the idea from the Kroc brother, or no, from the McDonald brothers or whatever it was. Yeah, it made
very
it really
much like that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're right in that moment where they're making things super efficient in the kitchen in order to scale this. That's actually right where we are.
I love that scene on the tennis court where they actually draw out
flipping the
restaurants and all the quadrants, and it seems so. Here's the thing about the best businesses that seems so simple in retrospect, right? Like the iPhone, right? Oh, obviously you wanted to have a hand-sized computer, and obviously you want to make sure it's easy to look at and easy to use, and it looks very simple, you know, in your hand, but it's never that simple. I mean, obviously, everything it takes a lot of time, work, mistakes, and what you have to do is have, I think, a really strong vision to allow you to keep on the right track when you have derailments.
One of the most important things, some mentors told me early on when I was writing the business plan and coming up with the idea for this was always have your end goal in mind. Otherwise, you never know what you're working toward. And so we've always set our end goal of one day selling this in about 5 to 10 years is what we're aiming for.
Right.
And you know, most people would be so scared to give away their baby to someone else, but we know the track that we're on. We know where we want to get to, and we're hoping that, you know, one day we get approached by some massive Pepsi company or Dunkin' Donuts.
Sure. And then you create a new company.
Yeah. And then we've got 10 others.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You got some, you know, and that's one of the cool things about your philosophy is that you're going to make sure it's done right. So you get the high quality, you get the you know, the consistency of the ingredient as well as the service, because you know that's how important it is. If you're not top of your game, then you can never succeed.
It's the make or break of a company, honestly.
Right. And it really is. You know, I always, when I was a busser, I used to fill waters at a local restaurant here that since it's closed, 706 on University.
Yeah.
And Sam Solomon would always tell me that if the glass was halfway full, always refill the water. So I'd run around like a chicken with his head cut off, making sure that all the waters were full. Oh God, I just stopped. There you go. Yeah, where's the busser? Right, they need to come. But he always would tell me, make sure I fill the glass up before it gets halfway empty. Yeah. And so every single dining experience I've ever had since then, I judge based upon how quickly does the restaurant refill the water, right? And it's like that's my perspective.
I'm gonna be cute on that now.
But you know, but that's a little bit of attention to detail to me is okay. Well, what's one thing that we can control? Water is free. You can refill water. That's just an effort and attention to detail thing, right? Like there's certain things that restaurants can do to elevate themselves, and I'm sure you guys do 100 different things that people don't even see that make it where you're. You know, it's my way or the highway.
It looks so smooth. You know, I'm sure when customers look at our Instagram and Facebook, they're probably like, "Wow, they've really got it together." On the ends,
they don't know that we just decided the specials the night before we posted it.
Right. Well, you know, but that's part of the thing is that you have to. No one ever knows, but on the face you have control.
Yeah.
You know? And so you guys are doing a great job. I'm really looking forward to coming to Tower Road to see the new brick and mortar. That building is going to be incredible.
It's going to be an experience that has not been offered yet here in Kansas.
And I love that it's a seating experience too.
Yeah.
So people can come in, especially for that side of town. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
You know, in the summer, I mean, who wants to? I mean, I love donuts, but I would rather have a donut inside than outside in Gainesville in the summer.
Especially when it gets cold too. I mean, it gets down to 30 here in North Florida.
So now for Halo Donuts, there's no excuse. If you want to go and get a donut, you know where to go. Once again, we've got a few more seconds left. Why don't you just let the listeners out there know how to contact you guys?
Your turn.
You want? Yeah, so I think the main ways that if someone wanted to reach out to us would be Instagram or Facebook. It's Halo Potato Donuts for both handles. You can also reach us on our website. There's a contact us form there. We also offer delivery now and wholesale. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to us, and we'd be more than willing to work with y'all.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming on the show today. It's another successful Meldon Law and Friends podcast, and we will be back next week. This is our 81st show. We haven't missed one week. Yeah, so this has been a fun time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, and
us.
go Gators.
Go Gators.